Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a lot of agribusiness ideas I would actually be sharing with you right here on our channel. But then if this is your first time of visiting the channel, kindly do us a favor by hitting on the subscription button and turn on the post notification bell that whenever we upload new videos, you will be the first person to get an alert on your device. Well, you see, there is one thing about farming today. It's not just about holding a hoe and waiting for a rain. It's actually about building a real business that fits you, your family, and the entire nation. Well, today we see a lot of people jump into farming because they see others making money, but the truth is, without the right mindset and strategy, you end up working hard and earning a little bit of money. So in today's videos, I would actually be sharing 10 solid agribusiness tips that can help you turn your farm into a serious profitable venture. Whether you grow cassava, maize, or raise catfish, these tips will actually guide you. Also, without wasting your time, we actually going to take them step by step or one by one. These are 10 solid agribusiness ideas I would actually be sharing with you right here on this channel. But then if this is your first time chancing upon our channel, I'm kindly pleading with you to hit on the subscription button and turn on the post notification bell that whenever we upload new videos, you'll be the first person to get an alert on your device. So time without wasting my time, let's start with the first one. You'd actually have to start with business mindset. The first thing you must do is to start with a business mindset. So you have to actually treat farm like a business. It shouldn't be like a hobby, not a side hustle, but then a real business. So that means you have to actually plan. You actually have to set goals and keep records just like any entrepreneur would actually do. So if you are farming just because you have land or you love farming, then I'm sorry, you might be heading for losses. Your passion is good, but then it must be backed by planning. And that takes us to the second point. Know your market before you produce. This is one of the biggest challenges for most farmers out there. Too many farmers produce first and then start looking for buyers. That's the wrong way to kickstart with farming. So before you actually plant a single seed, you would actually have to find out who is buying, what they want, and when they actually need these things. Talk to market women, processors, hotels, or exporters. If your cassava or tomatoes or maize don't have a ready market, you would actually struggle in selling. You always have to remember that you don't produce and look for market. Find a market and produce for it. By so doing, you will not produce and start looking for market. And the third thing that you actually have to understand is the value chain. That's one thing you should also be understanding. Every crop or livestock has a value chain. Well, so from input suppliers to consumers. So when you understand where you fit in, you will know where the real profit lies. So sometimes the big money isn't even producing. Well, it's processing or market. So maybe instead of just selling raw cassava, you could process into starch or gari. I think we've actually spoke about this once some time back on our channel, how you can be able to process your raw material or your raw cassava into finished product. So that's how smart farmers increase their profit margins. And the fourth thing you must actually think of doing is how to invest in good agronomic practices. If your foundation is very weak, the entire business will actually crumble. So please invest in the basics: quality seeds, proper soil preparation, irrigation, pest management, or post-harvesting handling. Don't just rely on a guesswork or what your neighbor actually did. Get advice from agricultural officers or extension agents. So usually most of our farmers in the deprived community, they usually depend on their neighbors or their colleagues to take advice or seek advice. They always say that they've been doing this for quite some number of years. So if you should tell them to go to the agric extension officer and grab some knowledge from them, they will tell you that this is what they've been doing, this is what their forefathers have doing long ago. So you actually don't have to rely on these people. You actually have to fall on the agric extension officers that they actually place in your various catchments, because in Ghana I know there are several agric extension officers in every community. That is how the government goes about handling agricultural activities in the country. So now let's go to the fifth point, or the fifth tip. Well, you actually have to keep proper records. Now let's be honest here. Most farmers don't keep proper records. Yes, that's one thing that most farmers actually don't do. But record keeping is the backbone of any serious agribusiness. Write down every cost, fertilizer, weeding, transport, labor, almost everything, absolutely everything must be written down. At the end of the season, you should be able to know whether you made a profit or not. And trust me, banks and investors love farmers who keep clean records. It shows you are actually serious. So when it's time for you to go grab a loan, these are some of the things that they would actually be looking at that is going to actually help you. So you should be serious about record keeping. Well, the last time I went for a workshop, they were actually asking most of the farmers that came that how they actually go about keeping record, and I realized most of them failed in doing that. And they said some of them shared their mind, they were with the view that if they keep records, they usually get fed up. It always makes them panic, it always frightens them, because looking at the amount or the cost involved, it always makes them frightened or panic. That is much of the reason why some of them have actually refrained from keeping records, but then it shouldn't be so. Now let's move to the sixth tips that is going to help you. So you actually have to diversify your income streams. Well, agribusiness is full of opportunities. Don't lock yourself into one. Well, maybe you are growing maize, but you could also venture into poultry or fish farming, or even process your own produce instead of selling it raw. Well, diversification helps you to spread the risk. So if one thing fails, another keeps going. Smart farmers always find more than one way to make money from the same land. Let me share my personal experience with you. Right, when I started farming, well, I had always focused on cassava. So if you watch videos on my channel, you realize that most of the videos or contents I shoot here are always about cassava farming. Yeah, that is one thing that I actually majored in, or that I kept practicing all the time, because I don't stay at one place. I always go up and down. So I realized cassava should be the best thing for me to grow as a farmer. But then along the line, I'm realizing that if some part fails, it worries me. Yeah, it worries me. So that actually prompted me to start mixing it with corn or maize. So you would have to actually learn about this diversification, because if you keep doing one thing, if it fails, that means the business is going to shut down or the farming is going to end there. So just learn about how to diversify things. That can also be able to help you. Now to the seventh tip, or the seventh point. You actually have to build relationships and networks. That is one of the most important things in business or agri-business. Now, here is something people overlook all the time: relationships. Your network can open doors that money can't. Join farmers groups, cooperative for agribusiness associations. When you connect with others, you learn faster, you get access to bulk buyers, and sometimes even funding. Like we always say, your network is actually your net worth. Tip number 8, you have to understand agricultural financing. So now let's talk about money, Laji and Kudi here. Before you take any loan, make sure you understand what you are actually getting into. Learn about the 5 C's of credit: character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. Don't just take huge loan just because someone offered it. Start small, build your credibility, and expand gradually. A loan can cripple your entire business if you don't know about that. So you'd always have to learn about the 5 C's of credit. So don't just assume maybe a family member has some huge sums of money out there giving out to somebody, so you quickly rush go get that money and want to start business with that. No, you actually have to learn about the 5 C's of credit. That is the capital, the character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. With that being said, in my next episode, I'll actually be bisecting and dissecting on the 5 C's of credit for most of you out there, to actually see whether you are eligible. It is actually going to help you to examine yourself to see whether you are eligible for funding, or you are eligible to go get loans from any financial institution in the world. So that is what I'll actually be sharing in my next video. So if this is your first time visiting the channel, kindly subscribe, turn on the post notification bell, that when I load the next video concerning the 5 C's of credit, you'll actually be able to learn something from that. So that moves us to the ninth points, you have to use technology and stay updated. So we are in a digital age, and technology has made farming smarter. There are mobile apps that can help you check weather patterns, soil trends, and even market prices. Drones are now being used for spraying and monitoring crops. The world is actually changing, and farmers who use tech are staying ahead. So don't just be afraid to learn and adapt. That is making works even easier, smarter for most farmers out there. Now when you are able to harvest, or it's time, the time is actually due to harvest your meat. Even peasant farmers that are in the deprived community, now they go about engaging the services of corn machines that actually come and dehash the maize for them. So that is one of the practices that most farmers are engaging in, and now they have combined harvesters that are actually harvesting rice and coal, which is making works easier and smarter. Drones are being used, like we stated. Drones are actually being used in spraying farms. So if you get one, you should be able to learn about all these things. You should be able to know how to use apps to be able to keep your records as well. And that sends us to the final and the last point, which is how to practice sustainable farming. But then once again, if you find this video interesting from the onset till this very point, just do us a favor, hit on the subscription button and join the Shandy TV family, that whenever we post new videos, you'll be the first person to get an alert all the time on your device. So finally, let's talk about sustainability. If you destroy your soil today, what will you farm on tomorrow? Just like a political leader telling you that if you do everything today, what are we going to do tomorrow? So you actually have to think of how to use organic matter. You have to avoid overusing chemicals and protect water sources. A good farmer doesn't just think about today's harvest, but then they also think about the next generation. So sustainable farming means long-term success. So there are a lot of chemicals that are in the system now that farmers are actually using to make work easier and smarter when it comes to weed control and co. But then there are also herbicides or weedicides today that farmers use. Some of these herbicides, when they use them, it takes longer duration to even plant crops. Some of them, it actually takes like a month before they can be able to put a crop into the soil. So these are some of the things that you actually have to be looking at as a farmer. So when you go get this chemical, don't be overusing them just because they said chemicals are helping. They are be able to help you to produce very well. You don't have to overuse them. Excessive uses of these chemicals actually damages the soil as well. So it's going to also make it very difficult for the next generation that is coming to also come and depend on the soil for farming as well. So any farmer thinks about long-term planting, long-term farming, and the sustainability aspect of it is a key. So now you have it, the 10 solid points that we'd actually share with you today. But then if you found these 10 powerful agri tips that can make your farm very profitable, subscribe to the channel and let us also hear from you by you sharing your tips and thoughts with us in the comment section. So we've been able to share with you 10 solid agribusiness tips right here on this channel today, and you should be able to go practice all these ones and come and thank me later. But then once again, you can actually share some of your ideas also with us in the comment below so that others will also actually learn from you. This is how far I've actually brought you. The name remains Christopher Ebenezer. Thank you. See you in the next one.